Tuanku, Patik sekali lagi menjunjung setinggi-tinggi kasih di atas lempah perkenan Tuanku berangkat pada pagi ini. Ampun Tuanku. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor. This series is made possible by the collaborative initiative of the University with the International Peace Foundation. Let's welcome Mr. Horvitz, founding chairman of the International Peace Foundation, to deliver his speech.
Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends, welcome to the second ASEAN event series, Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace. Bridges is facilitated by the International Peace Foundation, a non-political and non-religious foundation under the patronage of 21 Nobel Peace Prize laureates based in Vienna. The events are hosted in cooperation with various local partners, including the country's major universities, and I thank the University of Malaya and its Vice Chancellor, Professor Gaut Jasmon, for hosting our event today. I'm grateful to the Malaysian Honorary Chairman of Bridges, His Royal Highness Raja Nasrin Shah, and to our Chairman, Tun Musa Hitam. Their powerful guidance paved the way for Bridges to bear fruit. Since November 2008, Bridges is being continuously held in Malaysia and Thailand until April 2009, involving the participation of Nobel Laureates and other eminent keynote speakers. The second ASEAN series of Bridges is an independent contribution to the Decade for Culture of Peace and Nonviolence, initiated by the United Nations General Assembly. It follows the series of 300 Bridges events which the International Peace Foundation has already hosted in Thailand and the Philippines since 2003. 30 Nobel laureates, as well as 13 other keynote speakers and artists such as Dr. Hans Blix, Dame Anita Roddick, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Vanessa May, Jesse Norman and Dr. James Wolfenson participated in these events. In Thailand, they were presided over by Her Majesty Queen Sirikit and Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Maha Chakrisirinthorn, and reached an audience of 90,000 participants. As peace cannot be achieved instantly, but is a process which needs time, Bridges has not been organized as a single conference, but as an ongoing series of events in which Nobel laureates and international decision makers have built strong bridges with leaders in all parts of society and with the general public. With the basis for peace being education, and synergies being the fruit of cooperation, the International Peace Foundation has not realized Bridges alone, but has carried out the program together with UNESCO and 88 other national and international institutions, including 33 major universities and schools. The multidisciplinary and pluralistic approach of Bridges in Thailand and the Philippines and now in Malaysia reflects that peace involves all parts of society. It involves awareness and social responsibility of politicians, the business community, scientists, artists, and the media. And since peace within ourselves, our families, and our environment starts in our minds and hearts, it involves every one of us. In this sense, Bridges challenges us to cross borders and to build bridges by listening and opening up to other viewpoints, by generating new thoughts, by developing innovative forms of cooperation, and by fulfilling the desire of everyone to get to know and to learn from each other. This can lead us to a world in which we will be able to understand each other and the complexities we face today in a new light. A globalized world needs broad strategies for change to secure a sustainable future for us and the next generations. Let us be inspired by the knowledge and the wisdom that Bridges continues to offer. an opportunity to get a more inclusive, interconnected, and comprehensive view of ourselves and the world in which we live in which we are able to create anew constantly, through dialogues towards a culture of peace which need the participation of everyone. I thank Professor H. Robert Horvitz, the 2002 Nobel Laureate for Medicine, who has agreed to come to Malaysia to support the events. We now look forward to his keynote speech and to his important contribution to build bridges. Welcome, Professor Robert Horvitz.
First, I would like to thank Mr. Uwe Morowitz and the International Peace Foundation for inviting me to participate in this very important program. The words of inspiration that we have just heard are, to me, very moving, and I hope that all of us will share in their content, meaning, and future hope. I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very honored to have been included in the exceptional group of visitors who have been hosted by this program to date. I'm also exceedingly honored for His Royal Highness to be here today and help host me and have very nice conversation with me already this morning. Personally, I am appreciative of the opportunity for me and my family, my wife and daughter, to visit Malaysia for the first time. We have heard much about Malaysia. We've had 2 young women live with us over the past 4 years from Malaysia. So I feel like I know something about the country, but the reality of being here is very exciting and something that means a lot to me. Now, I've entitled my lecture today, Basic Biomedical Research Drives the Discovery of New Treatments for Human Disease. And in this lecture, I will exemplify how basic research in biomedical science can lead to discoveries that promise to provide new approaches to disease. This lecture, as you know, is hosted by the International Peace Foundation, so I will begin with a few comments about how I see biomedical science, world health, and world peace all vitally interconnected. Specifically, I believe that there are many threats to world peace around the world, and one of the major threats is inequalities amongst people. There are inequalities in wealth. There are inequalities in education. And there are inequalities in health. And health is really the most fundamental of these. Without good health, neither the education nor the wealth of a society can really be improved. And I think about this in the context of a conversation I had a few years ago with Daniel Visella, who is the CEO of the international pharmaceutical giant Novartis. And Dan was sitting next to me at dinner and telling me that he had established a foundation to try to address this issue of inequalities amongst peoples around the world. The first project of the foundation was the building of a school in Mali, in West Africa. And the school had been built, and Dan went from Switzerland to Mali for the dedication of this school. And what he found was very disheartening. What he found was that the school was likely to have little impact. And the reason was the children simply in this village in Mali were too ill to take advantage of the opportunities offered by this new school. And so what Dan learned from this is that even before education, and of course education is vital, must come health. And so with his knowledge of the pharmaceutical industry and his knowledge of global health, he has turned his interest now first to addressing the problem of health. And it is within this context that I want to describe to you my thoughts about this area. So how can we collectively begin to think about the problem of improving global health? And I think there are two answers, at least, to this question. First, there must be broad international consortia that focus on global health. And such efforts must involve the active participation of governments, of foundations, of pharmaceutical companies, of hospitals and other groups involved in healthcare, and probably most importantly, must involve very, very dedicated individuals, because it is really people who can drive change and progress. And each of us has a responsibility to do the best we can in this sort of area. There obviously must be appropriate financial support, and each country must develop the infrastructure to implement changes in healthcare to try to optimize the health available to its populations. So that's one side of a coin. The other side is there must be advances in the diagnosing, treating, and preventing of disease. Many of today's diseases we don't know how to treat. In some cases, the treatments are not very good. In some cases, the treatments actually have such harmful effects that they are dangerous to give. And in some cases, the treatments are so expensive that they cannot be considered for use in any kind of a global context. Furthermore, sometimes resistance arises to existing treatments, and that requires the development of new treatments, sometimes progressively, treatment after treatment. So that, for example, here we know about malaria, and the fact that much malaria, probably most of the malaria in the country, is resistant to the drug chloroquine, which was a very good drug, but no longer is useful. So we have now new drugs, and most likely we're going to need new drugs beyond that. Now, where do new methods of diagnosing, treating, and curing disease come from? And my thesis today is that such advances are crucially dependent on discoveries made and driven by basic biomedical science. And in this lecture, I will demonstrate how basic research in biology can lead to discoveries that promise to provide new approaches to the treatment of disease. I will also advocate that both governments and foundations should allocate a significant portion of their research portfolios to basic research, even though countries may be faced with very pressing specific needs for applications of research. Applied research, I will argue, cannot be done effectively if there isn't a very strong base of basic research to support and promote it. Now, today I'm going to focus on research from my laboratory, research that resulted in my receiving, my sharing really with two others you'll hear about, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2002. Now, many people know that the Nobel Prize